Hello and welcome to another Fusion Extreme Photoshop tutorial. Today we're going to introduce you to Photoshop. This is the basics of Photoshop, part 1. I know a lot of times people have Photoshop sitting on their computer. They open it up, they look at it, it's pretty daunting, pretty out of control. You look at it and you say, you know what, this is too much for me to handle. Well, what we want to show here is that no, it's not. I just want to introduce you to it, give you the very, very basics of it, give you a tour of what the heck's going on, and with the interface here that you have to deal with. I'll show you what's going on and we'll move forward from there. This is part 1 of a 2-part tutorial. Today we are going to cover what's down this side of your Photoshop tools, this little toolbar right here. We're going to talk about this and the different things that it does. We're not going to cover absolutely everything, just going to give you a basic introduction. Now, this tool right here, this little pointer tool, it's just a pointer. All it does is it points at the areas that you want. If you have an area selected, and I'll show you what I mean by selected, if you have an area selected and want to move it around, that's the tool that you would do it with. Now let me show you how you select an area. These tools right here are your selection tools. We're going to start with the rectangular selection tool, or rectangular marquee tool. What that does, see how that draws like a little marquee around the area that you've selected. Alright, you can draw any kind of four-sided rectangular or square shape, doesn't matter. You can do that. Now if you've selected one area, let's say you've selected a square around her eye, and you want to make that lighter, and you also want to change the color or make lighter or do whatever you want. With what you're doing is you're going to be working within these areas. So I selected 2. What I did is when one was selected here, I press Shift and it'll select another one without getting rid of the previous one. I can do it again down here. Now what happens is if I want to make it lighter, darker, do whatever I want, it'll work within the areas selected, within those areas. Okay, now those are squares. What if I wanted to draw a circle and work within a circle? This right here is the elliptical marquee tool, or elliptical selection tool. And you can easily draw a circle or similar shapes. The same thing goes if you press Shift. You can draw another one. And then you have 2 different areas selected. Then we have your single row marquee tool and single column marquee tool. I guess that's pretty self-explanatory. Now we're going to come here to your lasso tools, Your lasso tool, it's just freehand. What you're doing is getting the opportunity to freehand select whatever you want. You can do whatever shape you want to do, and then if you make any changes to the image, it'll be within that freely drawn area. The polygonal lasso tool, I can't even say it, I rarely use it. It's just a tool here that you can draw just by clicking. Every time you click, you've drawn. You've gone there, and it'll go and connect the first and last points, and that's how you do it. You basically are free drawing anything within that area. But they all have straight edges. Now I'm going to the magnetic lasso tool. What this is a little different. Whoops. What you do, let's say I wanted to draw a line, I wanted to select part of her hand here. This little straight edge that you have here, if I click right near it and just drag right down along here, it'll automatically select right along her hand. And then I can come back out over here, let it go, and you'll see it will have selected right along that edge. Like a magnet, it's drawn right to that edge. And that's how you can do that. Now the Magic Wand tool is pretty neat. The Magic Wand tool, if you take an area, you see this big white area here? Let's say I wanted to select this white area. Let's say I wanted to change the background color. I can just take this little Magic Wand tool, which again is right here. I take the Magic Wand tool and I click it, and it selected that white area. And I can come over here and do the same thing. If I press Shift like I did before, it'll add to it. It'll select there, select, go to the little areas that you need to. Keep pressing shift every time you do it, and you can select all those little areas. And I'm not going to be too precise, but you can select the little areas in here. You can do whatever you need to select those particular areas. Now also, here is the quick selection tool. The quick selection tool is, all it does is it's going to select whatever you draw some different points here, and it'll select that area just like the Magic Wand tool did. Now this is your cropping tool. Your cropping tool, all it does is cut down an image. It will crop an image for you. That's all it is. It crops it to you can tell it what size you want. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's just wherever you draw it, or wherever you draw around that square or whatever shape you want, square or rectangle, wherever you draw around there, it's going to, if I double click inside, see how it's shaded here? It's darker outside, but it's lighter inside. Whatever's within the square, if you double click, your image is now cropped down to that. That's how that works. That's your cropping tool. I'm not going to get really into the slice tool. It's a little more complicated. It's something for you to worry about at a later date. This tool here, the spot healing brush, the healing brush, and the patch tool, what those do is those get rid of blemishes that are on faces. Little cuts, little marks, any blemishes that are on the face, tattoos. These are all good tools to use for getting rid of those things. The red eye tool is pretty self-explanatory. Oops, it helps you get rid of red eye. Now, your brush tool is just a paintbrush. That's what it is. It's a paintbrush. And you can paint right on your image at whatever size whatever size brush. It depends on what size brush you've chosen. You can choose different size brushes, and I'll go over that later. But you can just paint right on the image. And we'll go over that a little bit later. But there's also a pencil tool and a color replacement tool. Again, I'm not going to go into the color replacement tool. That's pretty much